Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Kevin Pedrati representing Santa Fe. We are opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Now we'll take tweeners.
Hello, Dennis Albiani on behalf of the dry battery section of NEMA, the National Electrical Manufacturers Association. We have worked on this issue for several years, including with the chair last year, and are very committed as an industry to find a solution and have actually 2 pilot projects working in California in the county of Santa Clara and the county of San Luis Obispo. We have a few things that we'd like to discuss. We agree with some of the folks that believe that sharps and batteries are not the same, and strongly encourage those to be broken up into 2 different legislative vehicles. And for numerous reasons. One, I don't want to disparage the issues, but batteries do not have the acute toxicity to human beings handling them, nor, frankly, the long-term toxicity that might be in some of the other issues with EPR. So we want to make sure that that's a separate vehicle and are very concerned about that issue. There's a couple other issues, and I think Mr. Governor will reach a few of them, so I'll just touch on a couple and pass it over to him. We have agreed that, from our standpoint in the last year bill, on an issue of EPR called rates and dates. We said, yep, you can hold us accountable on this date to meet this amount of diversion requirements. When you do that, what we also think, though, is once you put rates and dates out there, you should not give as much command and control from Cal Recycle or whatever agency. It could be toxics as well. That's still an issue being discussed. But we need to narrow that down to make an efficient program. And we have done these pilot projects all over the country. We know how to recycle batteries. And so our issue is, the more you give the authority, general broad authorities, what this bill does, to a state agency, they don't necessarily have cost containment down. They don't necessarily have how to do this the best and most efficient manner. And that's where the industry does have knowledge on that. I also want to address, we call this a pilot project. I mean, maybe it's semantics, but in our opinion, this is not a pilot project. I mean, it's a bill that's a 10-year bill. It is fully authority, full fee authority, all those. And so we need to treat it as such. This is a bill that's going to kick off a program forever, and we need to have it tightly defined, narrowed in that. And then there's some definitional issues I think Mr. Governor will handle as well.
Mr. Chair, Member Scott Governor here on behalf of PRBA, the Portable Rechargeable Battery Association. We'd like to thank the author, his staff, and the proponents. We have been meeting with them, discussing the issue with them. We do want to see a bill move forward. One of the items that the opposition brought up had to do with kind of those who install batteries. We think the language could actually use a little clarification. Today, the toy industry, for example, imports 15% of the batteries that enter the waste stream. They shouldn't get a free pass. You can either install batteries that are part of the program, or you can be a part of the program. You can't just import junk batteries and then let someone else kind of pay the price. That doesn't work. We'd also like to look at issues like cost recovery. For example, if someone doesn't participate, how does our program, Call to Recycle, get made whole? Again, these are items we've discussed with the author. We've had a good working dialogue, and we look forward to continuing to work on this. But thank you.
Questions and comments from the committee? Mr. Wood.
Yeah, I'd just like to, first of all, thank you, Mr. Gordon, for your presentation of the bill here. And I do appreciate where you're going, but I also do have concerns, and I would be more sympathetic, honestly, towards a more comprehensive approach. Product by product by product by product, as we go forward here, it becomes very, very problematic. And these are already high-cost issues to deal with in landfills. So I guess in the long run, my preference would be that we look at a bigger, more comprehensive program. That being said, I appreciate what you're doing, and I'll probably support your bill, but I just think we would be better served as a public if we had a more comprehensive approach.
Mr. Gordon, can I just to make a note of that, I think one of the issues here is who should pay for proper disposal. And when the opposition says they want a more comprehensive approach, the vehicle they have for a more comprehensive approach is just a mandate to local governments to pay for 100% of the cost of recycling these things. And that is comprehensive, but it's philosophically the question of whether you believe that ratepayers should pay 100% of the cost for disposal, or whether industry should share in that responsibility. And the reason why I've authored these in the past is I believe that ratepayers are paying a disproportionately large share of these disposals because they are high-cost items, and that industry should share in that in some manner.
If I might, I agree with both of you. I actually think there ought to be a more comprehensive solution. I think at the end of the day, that's where we're going to need to get to. But I also believe that producers have some responsibility. If this bill moves forward today, I'm committed to continuing to work with all of the parties engaged in this dialogue to see if we can't get closer to a more comprehensive solution, and that we can't find a way for producers to bear some responsibility. It's been mentioned that our colleague, Assemblymember Mullen, has a bill in this arena also, takes a slightly different approach than this. The end of the day, if his bill survives local government and this bill moves from this committee, we're all headed to the same committee, those two bills. There'll be an opportunity for us to see if we can't find a way to get to that kind of comprehensive approach.
Mr. Ali?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am going to support your bill today with a little bit of reservation. I know that you will work on it, and the devil's in the details, and that's really sometimes hard to get down in the weeds at this point, but I think you're on the right track, and I think we do need some good policy in this area. So I will be supporting your bill today.
Thank you.
Mr. Hadley?
Excuse me. Mr. Gordon, thank you for bringing the bill forward. My biggest reservation about the bill, as one of the witnesses mentioned, is that it's hard to view this as a pilot program, given the scope and the duration of the program. Setting philosophy aside, we do have a big problem with consumer behavior that is driving the cost of so many of these waste streams. And we're trying to do something that is very hard to do. I would love this to happen on a more, either on a true pilot program where we can learn some things about how we can improve the diversion of these products out of the waste stream, or on a more comprehensive basis, as several of my colleagues have mentioned. I am going to support the bill. I'm going to support it, frankly, on the basis that there are competing bills. These are heading in a similar direction, and there is lots of work to be done, and I'm prepared to participate in that if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments from the committee? I think the author and everyone here is also dealing with a different problem than just consumer behavior. That's part of it. The other part of it is the growth of cheaper, short-lived batteries from overseas. And so the hard part about this, and the reason why I do think that the author, I really encourage the author to get the battery industry on board. I think they can be on board, at least the domestic battery industry on board. It's because if we approach this right, we'll create a situation where both of them have the same level playing field. Frankly, the amount of waste that's produced by a more short-lived battery from overseas is a lot more waste, and it costs more money for local folks. And so ultimately the industry's interests and the advocates are the same, and so I just encourage them to work together. With that, I do. Mr.
I would just like to be added as a co-author.
Absolutely. With that, the chair's recommendation is aye. And did we get a motion and a second? Motion and a second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Assemblymember Williams?
Aye.
Williams, aye. Dolly? Aye. Dolly, aye. Garcia? Aye. Garcia, aye. Hadley? Aye. Hadley, aye. Harper? McCarty? Rendon? Aye. Rendon, aye. Stone? Aye. Stone, aye. Wood? Aye. Wood, aye. We have 7 votes.
Thank you.
You have 7 votes. Your bill is out. We have Mr. Quirk. So I do not see Mr. Levine.
Thank you.
We are hearing item 12, which is Assembly Bill 692, low carbon transportation fuels.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. I would like to thank the committee for all their work on this bill, and I'm happy to accept the amendments on page 3 of the analysis. At this year's State of the State address, Governor Brown set an ambitious goal of reducing petroleum use in cars and trucks by 50% by 2030. AB 692 helps support this goal by requiring California agencies and departments to procure very low carbon transportation fuels. With the committee amendment, AB 692 now defines very low carbon transportation fuel as a liquid or gaseous fuel having no greater than 40% the carbon intensity of the closest comparable petroleum fuel. Few examples of these types of very low carbon fuels include bio and renewable diesel, renewable natural gas, and cellulosic ethanol. AB 692 requires that beginning January 1, 2017, very low carbon transportation fuels must comprise 3% of each state agency's or department's transportation fuel portfolio, increasing by 1% every year thereafter until 2024. AB 692 is not picking a particular fuel or technology, but providing certainty in the very low carbon fuel market that California will be a stable purchaser of these fuels. There are many advanced low carbon fuel technologies and innovations coming online today, and AB 692 can be seen as another tool in California's toolbox to help reduce the use of conventional petroleum and support the green energy economy. So the point here is that any of these very low carbon fuels require tremendous investment. Without some certainty that there's a purchaser, it's very hard to get a bank to loan you the money to do those investments. This would allow the state to be that purchaser. With me to testify in support of the bill are Dr. Graham Noyce, Dr. Noyce, Executive Director of the Low Carbon Fuels Technology, Mr. Louis Brown, Legislative Representative of the California Biodiesel Analysis. I also have an expert witness whose organization is not taking a position on the bill, but is here to provide background, Dr. Colin Murphy. Thank you.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony. I'm the Executive Director of the Low Carbon Fuels Coalition. We are a technology-neutral business association of low-carbon fuel providers, both from California and nationwide. We're in strong support of 692. As the Assembly member pointed out, what it does is provide a strong market signal. In the fuel sector in particular, it's very challenging because it tends to be a spot market out there where purchases are very short-term. Having government purchasing activity that is long-term and certain for the producer community to then respond to and compete for sends a very strong market signal. We saw great success with this on the federal level with the Energy Policy Act, where it established similar requirements for alternative fuels and alternative fuel vehicles. It drove great industry expansion. And now that California has very strong goals both in carbon reduction and in petroleum reduction, these kinds of signals on the California side will particularly incentivize California-based production and could be very positive for the state's economy and jobs. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Louis Brown on behalf of the California Biodiesel Alliance. We represent the in-state producers of biodiesel, and predominantly biodiesel made from animal fat or used cooking grease, which has a very low CI score. The certainty that is created by this bill does exactly what Mr. Noyes and Assemblymember Quirk have said. It provides some consistency for the industry to invest. Right now, we are producing about 30 million gallons of biodiesel in state. We have the capacity to about double that, but without the certainty of a market going forward, people are reluctant to continue to make that investment that's necessary. So having the state take the lead with their low, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles that rely on diesel fuel, biodiesel is a drop-in petroleum fuel replacement. No need for engine modifications, no need for additional changes. Simply just start to blend biofuel, and we'll see the greenhouse gas benefits, and we'll also see the economic benefits from increased production in the state of California. We ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Colin Murphy. As Mr. Quirk said, Next Gen Climate America doesn't have a position on this bill. I'm here as a technical expert. As Mr. Noyes and Mr. Brown said, they can talk about the market potential, but I just wanted to confirm that you don't get the long-run cost competitiveness from laboratory research on fuels. At some point, there needs to be deployment. Producers need to get experience out at full scale and get their supply chains optimized. That's something that requires large-scale commercial deployment.
Other folks in support, just state your name, organization, and your support. Witnesses in opposition. Witnesses with testimony neither in support nor opposition. Questions to the committee. I think this is a very important one. The governor laid out 3 sets of goals. Mr. Rennan and myself chose the easiest of the 3. You're raising our renewable energy, and then Mr. Quirk has volunteered to do the hardest of the 3, which is reducing the carbon intensity of our fuel and transportation mix. I really appreciate your work on this. This is not your only bill on that, but this is definitely substantive. To me, it is equivalent to the old Bowen bill in the 90s that required the state to actually buy renewable, recycled paper, right? If we create these policies but we're not willing to actually purchase the product, I think that's the definition of hypocrisy. And so I do think that going forward, number one, we suggested amendments that made sure that this carbon intensity will be generally more based on waste-based fuels and high cellulosic fuels as opposed to, say, something like sugarcane ethanol. And secondly, I strongly believe that DGS, if they are determined to do so, would be able to do this with less of a cost impact as they are purchasing equipment that has a better fuel efficiency. What I've seen is when fleets in municipal levels change, you can do it without spending a lot of money. You just have to change how many vehicles you're buying, how much fuel you're buying, and what MPG ratings they have. So I'm confident this is really good policy, and the chair's recommendation is aye. Do we have a motion? Motion by Wood, second by Mr. Rendon. Secretary, please call the. Oh, do you wish to close, Mr. Quirk?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
That's a great close. Secretary, please call the roll.
Assemblymember Williams?
Aye.
Williams, aye. Dolly? No. Dolly, no. Garcia? Aye. Garcia, aye. Hadley? No. Hadley, no. Harper? McCarty? Rendon? Aye. Rendon, aye. Stone? Aye. Stone, aye. Wood? Wood, aye. 5-2.
5-2. We'll leave the roll open for folks, but looks like the prospects are good.
Thank you.
Oh, that's out. Actually out. I miscounted. Thank you. Mr. Bonta, why don't you come on up? But before we take up Mr. Bonta, we did have an item that we met in subcommittee, Mr. Bigelow's item 6 by Bigelow, AB 301. This is his state responsibility areas fire prevention fee mechanism. The committee's amendments change the mechanism but preserve the spirit of the bill he presented, and I would entertain a motion by Mr. Dolly, second by Mr. Hadley. Secretary, please call the roll.
Assemblymember Williams?
Aye.
Williams, aye. Dolly? Aye. Dolly, aye. Garcia? Aye. Garcia, aye. Hadley? Aye. Hadley, aye. Harper? McCarty? Rendon? Aye. Rendon, aye. Stone? Aye. Stone, aye. Wood? Aye. Wood, aye. It's got 7.
7 votes. Mr. Bigelow, if you're watching that, your bill is out. Mr. Bonta.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Let me first thank committee staff and your office, Mr. Chairman, for their vital work in helping craft this piece of legislation. I really appreciate the teamwork. AB 1062 will help provide our most vulnerable communities of color with the tools they need to fight against environmental health hazards in their communities, greatly improving their quality of life in the process. AB 1062 will ensure environmental justice small grants will be continuously funded. It will require the Secretary for Environmental Protection to fund the EJ Small Grant Program by no less than $5 million per year. In addition, AB 1062 updates the guidelines for projects that qualify for the EJ Small Grants project, in the process allowing more community projects that directly impact California residents to be funded. AB 1062 is necessary to ensure our most vulnerable communities are protected. I'd like to introduce my witness for today, Parin Shah, legislative strategist for the Asian Pacific Environmental Network.
Motion by Stone, second by Dolly, and the practice of the committee is witnesses have 2 minutes for testimony.
I'll take less than that since it's moving. Mr. Chair, committee members, thank you for hearing us on this, and we are enthusiastically in support of AB 1062, and thank you, Mr. Bonta, for your leadership on this.
Your other witness?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. Quentin Foster on behalf of the California Environmental Justice Alliance. For reasons stated earlier, we are also a co-sponsor on this bill. We are in support and ask for your aye vote on this. Thank you.
Other witnesses in support?
Kyle Jones with Sierra Club California in support.
Kelly Ditto on California League Conservation Voters in support.
Vern Gehring on behalf of the California Urban Stream Partnership in support.
Center on Race, Poverty, and the Environment in support.
Environmental Health Coalition San Diego in support, Carolina Martinez.
Witnesses in opposition? Witnesses with neither support nor opposition? With that, to the committee. Any questions? There has been a motion and a second. The chair's recommendation is aye. Would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members, and staff for your consideration and help on this bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
The motion is due pass as amended. Due pass to appropriations. Please call the roll.
Assemblymember Williams?
Aye.
Williams, aye. Dolly?
Aye.
Dolly, aye. Garcia?
Aye.
Garcia, aye. Hadley? Harper? McCarty? Rendon? Stone? Wood? Aye. Wood, aye. It's got 4 votes.
It's got 4 votes. You need 1 more, but we'll be here for a while, so I'm sure they'll come back and vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Thank you. Thank you. We have Mr. Next in sign-in order, we have Mr. Medina.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present Assembly Bill 291, which is a measure that is co-sponsored by the Association of California Water Agencies and the McGeorge Law School Legislative and Public Policy Clinic. First, I would like to acknowledge my willingness to accept the committee's amendments to the measure, which is described in the committee's analysis, will ensure that statutory notice requirements are satisfied by the filing with the Office of Planning and Research, the same as what currently occurs for state agency projects. Additionally, the amendments will ensure that hard copies of the notices will be provided to the affected communities via mailing of these notices within 5 days. Overall, the goals of this measure are to reduce current logistical challenges related to CEQA notices in multiple counties for specified types of water projects, while simultaneously improving public access to CEQA notices. This would be accomplished by making them available through filing with the Office of Planning and Research on the Internet via CEQA.net. Right now, agencies seeking to do the right thing and provide detailed CEQA notification of specified water projects are facing numerous submission requirements. Sometimes posted notices are required in dozens of counties, posing substantial and unnecessary logistical burdens. We appreciate the work of the chair and the committee consultant to help craft these amendments, and we believe we have arrived at an improved process from both the practical and public notice perspective. With me today, I have Whitney Wiley of the Association of California Water Agencies, Caroline Soto of the McGeorge Law School of Public Policy Clinic, and Mr. Ryan Becerra, the legal counsel with the Yuba County Water Agency.
Please proceed. The practice of the committee is 3 witnesses, 2 minutes each.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members, Whitney Wiley with the Association of California Water Agencies, co-sponsor of AB 291, and on behalf of ACWA and its members, I want to thank the Assembly Member Medina for authoring AB 291 and for the Chair and the committee consultant for working with us to craft the amendments that the Assembly Member has accepted. It has been ACWA's intent to assist our members with AB 291 by streamlining the process that they use to file the notices of determination while balancing the need to maintain and, where possible, even improve public access to the information. Currently, local agencies are required to post their CEQA notices in each county in which the project is located, which for land use projects is generally not that big a deal, as that involves usually 1 or 2 counties. However, for water projects, that could mean as many as dozens or more counties. My co-sponsor will share the experiences they had trying to get information about the variety of requirements for posting the notices throughout the state. And AB 291, with the amendments, improves access over the current process by having local agencies post the notice in the home county, file the notice with OPR for posting on CEQA.net, and mailing a copy to the affected counties so that the county clerks have a physical copy for posting on their bulletin boards or making available through whatever other means they use. In the current process, unless the county clerk, however, has chosen a different method of making the information available, the public has to make a trip to some physical location to see the notice on a bulletin board. And with this bill, anyone in any county would have the ability to search CEQA.net and be able to see what projects have had the notice of determination filed with OPR. We thank you for your consideration and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Caroline Soto, and I'm a law student at McGeorge School of Law and a part of the McGeorge Legislative and Public Policy Clinic. The clinic gives students an opportunity to pursue legislative change at the Capitol. We would like to thank Assemblymember Medina for authoring AB 291 and the committee for hearing it today. The McGeorge Legislative and Public Policy Clinic is a co-sponsor for AB 291 because we believe that this timely bill will help modernize the filing of notices of determination by local agencies required under CEQA and improve public access to these notices. My classmates and I called all 58 counties in California, and we can attest to the full spectrum of the different county requirements. For example, some counties require 1 to 2 copies, others 4 to 5, and some accept black and white copies, while others require additional wet ink originals. Most counties already allow local agencies to mail notices of determination, while others do not, and recommend hand delivery. Some counties post their CEQA notice requirements on the website, while a substantial number do not. And as you can imagine, this creates significant logistical concerns of which the author spoke. As noted, Assemblyman Medina agreed that AB 291 would improve public access to notices of determination by requiring posting on the Office of Planning and Research. OPR's Sequinet database has been in existence since 2003, and the website electronically posts notices for state agency projects. The website is easy to use and search based on date, name of the local agency, or location by county and city. And for the first time, these local agency notices would be available to the public online and statewide. And so we would like to thank you for your time and urge the members to vote aye on AB 291.
Thank you. My name is Ryan Becerra. I'm legal counsel for Yuba County Water Agency, and we proposed this legislation to Aqua for its consideration. I've been through this process a number of times and am here primarily to answer questions, but I'd like to thank Assemblyman Medina for authoring the bill and the committee's work in developing these amendments. Thank you.
Other witnesses in support?
Move the bill.
I have a motion and a second on the bill. Mr. Wood and Ms. Garcia. Go ahead.
Thank you. Ron Davis on behalf of Eastern Municipal Water District here in support. Thank you.
Matt Klopfenstein with the Association of Environmental Professionals here in support.
Pilar Oñate Quintana for Yuba County Water Agency, also in support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. Glenn Farrell with the San Diego County Water Authority in support.
Good afternoon. I'm Rosie Thompson on behalf of Metropolitan Water District in support.
Witnesses in opposition?
Kyle Jones with Sierra Club, California. We had opposition based on the notice requirements, but with the amendments taken today, we're going to review our position on that.
Nice.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? And we'll bring it back to the members. Any questions? We have a motion and a second. Would you like to close, Mr. Medina?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
It is due pass to appropriate with amendments. Call the roll.
Assemblymember Williams. Dolly.
Aye.
Dolly, aye. Garcia. Aye. Garcia, aye. Hadley. Harper. McCarty. Rendon. Stone. Wood.
Aye.
Wood, aye. It's got 3 aye votes.
You have 3 aye votes. It's on call and for the rest of the members to come back.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.